On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
When you're ready, and I guess I'm speaking to you specifically, Jessica, because you're a representation of the question that you asked, right? If you ask the question, that means you're gonna have to be accountable for the results that come along with it if you want to come on the show. When it comes back down to it, the question still remains: what exactly are you doing differently to make sure that you're an example of the thing that you're looking for versus trying to have a conversation with people that don't really care about what you think or feel?
Okay, so to answer your question, Anton, I don't even know if you really heard me because you walked off, and I felt that was disrespectful.
No, I can hear you, but I
Okay.
chose violence tonight.
Let's get this show started. In case you guys don't know, our Lapeef Let's Talk Facebook group has to be the best group on Facebook. It has to be. I suggest you guys get in tune. Our first topic of the night was a question asked in our Facebook group. Our first guest of the night was the one that asked the question. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Jessica to the show.
Hi.
Give it up for Jessica, everybody. How you doing, Jessica?
I'm doing okay. Thank you guys for having me.
Welcome to the Lapeef Let's Talk show. And in the Facebook group of the day, you posed a question. And the question that you asked in the group was, what will it take for the black man and black woman to see eye to eye again? What will it take for the black man and black woman to see eye to eye again? When you asked that question in the group, I just want to get your thoughts when you put it in there.
So what really triggered that thought was I had seen a previous post in the group, and basically it was asking like, why do we come off defensive or angry? And when I read that, and then I started reading some of the comments, and I think like his last part of his post was that, and please try not to respond defensively or angry. And so I just, at that point, I'm just over it. You know, I was going through the rest of the posts on the page, and I'm just like, everything was just about black women being angry, the independent black woman. And I'm looking at the post, and it seemed like all black men were making these posts. And I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of everyone pointing at the problem. What's going to be the solution? Like, how do we start seeing eye to eye again? How do we come to a common ground to where it's not always the man versus the woman, the black man versus the black woman? What's the solution? So that's where I was at with it.
Okay. I also want to bring in Jared. He's also part of the Facebook group. Let's welcome Jared to the show.
Greetings. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Peace.
All right, welcome to the show, Jared.
Nice,
How
Jared.
y'all doing, fam?
All right, the reason
I love hearing y'all. Just so y'all know.
we definitely appreciate it. I brought Jared in too because Jessica and Jared, along with somebody else I'm going to bring in, they was having a real tough conversation, just going back and forth. So, Jared, when you first saw that question, I want to get your take and your thoughts when you read it.
Well, I felt that it was a reasonable question. Being that I'm focused on solutions, I thought that, well, in order to get to the solution, we at least have to correctly diagnose the problem. If you don't correctly diagnose it, then all we'll be doing is treating the symptoms. So I just wanted to touch on one of the points or a couple of points that I felt that was a problem, but that was the conversation starter, and that was not all inclusive of everything. It's just saying that I think this is a start here. And of course, I addressed what I felt was more on the woman's side, but I still have some things I think that the men can do too. But I at least wanted to lead with that because I think that if we could at least get them to hear us, I think that it could be a game changer. And I also want to just throw this one little tidbit out there. Men aren't that expressive, and I really hope that the sisters take the time to realize the bellwether moment that they're finding themselves where the men are finally expressing themselves. Because after a while, they're not going to be saying too much, and there's going to be more action doing the speaking. So I think that this is a great moment where we find ourselves trying to actually find a solution and having conversation. But sometimes, a couple people want to take a pound of flesh. And that's not what this is about. It's really discussion. mature discussion.
Okay. We also have one more other person that was in that conversation, and you guys are not a stranger to her, but let's give it up for Ashley.
Hi, everybody. How are you all?
How you doing? How you doing?
Welcome back, Ashley.
Welcome back, Ashley.
Thank you. Thank you, Swana. Thank you.
All right, I know you're just hopping on, but we are discussing what will it take for the black man and black woman to see eye to eye again. You are familiar with this question, and you had a lot to say in the group, so I just wanted to get your thoughts and what you thought when you first read this question.
Well, to keep it short and simple, I think it is important for both men and women to be open and honest. I heard a little bit about what Jared was saying, and I respect that. Like, I think that for a long time, Black men were constantly like bashed by Black women and stereotyped, and so I get it. I get that they're like, look, this is my time. This is my time to speak, and I think they need to be heard. I think we all need to address some of the bad and very dysfunctional habits and teachings or lack of teachings that have existed in our communities. I think what it's going to take, though, is that we are self-reflective and honest on both sides. I don't think that if you're talking about a relationship, you can focus on either of one side. Like, you really do. You can't have one-sided discussions. You have to be deep and take it holistically. So on a larger scale, I think we have to continue to have such conversations. And then on a personal level, some of us have dealt with different issues in our life that affect the way we interact with other people. So you have to kind of highlight and pinpoint those areas, talk about them. Maybe if you need therapy, get therapy about them, and just try your best to have effective communication in your own relationships on a personal level. Yeah.
All right, Jared and Jessica, how you guys feel about what she said? You guys agree?
I agree with the standpoint that we do need to continue the conversation. However, we do need to start off the conversation with acknowledging that there are some strong undertones going on that are pulling people in the opposite direction. And like Jessica brought up, can we see at the same level? And I just want to touch a little bit on the subliminal, because if you deal with that, then maybe it's not so much focused on the person. It's just saying that there are some cultural norms that have been shifting, and I did speak on the specifically the second and the third waves of feminism, that I felt that really caused a cataclysmic shift in our households. The first wave, I understand, hey, nothing wrong with voting. The thing is at times men were voting representative of their household interests, but second and third wave specifically, that's when we started not to see eye to eye, and then the government themselves came in to, divide and conquer. But then when you got to the third wave, that was more even further empowerment and how can I say, more independence, to where the men don't feel part of that wave. We don't feel like there's any benefit to us as part of that wave. As a man, as a child, if my mother was in that instance, I could see how I could benefit from that. But as a man, I can't say fully. But the other thing is happening. Then instead of having men step to the plate, society's pushing them in the opposite direction. And now they're talking about toxic masculinity. So hold on, if I'm a man, now all of a sudden, and I want to provide, protect, do manly things, I guess. Now all of a sudden I'm being pushed to be called toxic because I've had some kind of form of masculinity, or, I play college football. Now everyone's saying, well, no, be careful. Now you have to be all soft with football. Well, hold up. This is how you cut your teeth. When my coach told me I was messing up, he didn't give me a participation trophy, chewed me out, and I got coached up, and I would go out and be even better. And that was a part of my growth character. Same with anti-bullying. Well, hold up. I get it. We can't be radical with it, but there are some things that are character forming that when we release that energy in the economic environment and sphere, we take off. And guess what? We buy those books from those people because they write incredible memoirs about the obstacles that they overcame. And then, now with basic dating, pursuing a love interest, now everything is, you have to be careful with what you say because you'll be levied with sexual harassment charges based off of, certain conversation. And it starts making people back up. And then what's left is people just becoming beta male simps and just saying, I'm just going to do whatever the woman says and live my life like it's an R&B song versus standing for principles, which when a man stands on principle and how can I say, to the household's benefit, women actually love that, in my experience.
Tawana, what will it take for a black man and black woman to see eye to eye again?
I mean, I guess I agree with a lot of what is being said. However, a lot of what I think is the problem is that we don't really know why we separated. We don't really investigate. We don't know the history. We don't really understand it. And for Jared to simplify it to like the feminist movement solely is the reason why this, and third, all three waves is just kind of, to me, inaccurate. And quite frankly, it's, not really responsible of us to just say that. There has been so many shifts in just basically after the civil rights movement, right? There was a threat to white supremacy. So then therefore there was a lot of different things that happened that targeted African-American people in general. And what they realized was that we're powerful together, but we're weaker as we divide. And so they intentionally targeted certain people, men, black men, they targeted you guys physically, police brutality, the war on drugs, all those different things that they did, right? To kind of make sure that black men were imprisoned, not present, not available. And then they targeted black women in other ways. They replaced men essentially with the welfare system. They said to us, well, guess what? You don't need a man, right? So then they kind of told us that feminism was the way to go. And they were like, oh yeah, jump on the feminism board because guess what? You don't need men. That's not what you need. You need independence. You need to be able to do this. And so when women start to see more value in the welfare system than even, their men, than men, they were essentially replaced. So if you don't start from there, then we never gonna move forward because now we got to figure out, okay, now there's been years of the system emasculating men, not women. The system emasculated you when they replaced you with welfare, not us. All we did was fall victim to that nonsense, right? We listened to the rhetoric of, oh yeah, we don't need a man. We just get on welfare and everything will be fine. So once we realize that all these systematic things happen, then we can begin with solutions. But men have to be realistic and so do women. And we have to think about where we currently are.
What?
We always try to act like, oh, let's just go back. Women just act like they used to act. Women haven't been acting like what since 1960. What are you saying? What are you asking people to do? You need to be more realistic in your approach to shifting. So if the shift is going to happen, yes, we need resources. We need several different things going on in our communities in order for us to significantly shift and really be instrumental in both, in each other's lives. Nobody is emotionally intelligent enough to really debate these things. Every time I see the group, the main thing that I see is that at some point, someone decides to name call the other person or to bash the other person or to make it about, oh, well, are you even married? Or, well, you ain't this, that. It's not about my personal life or it's not about anybody's personal life. It's about us coming to a reconciliation and being emotionally intelligent enough to hear each other's side and perspective and also to deal with women and who they are now. You all try to interrupt the natural pattern of each other. Of women and men. You guys are telling us to be something that we're not. We're trying to tell you guys to be something that you're not. You cannot do that. You have to deal with where we are currently. You all want to say, put this perception out that all men are these super masculine alpha men, when that's really just not the case. If you've been raised by women for the last 40, 50 years, how in the hell can you say this? I'm just saying, men are unrealistic in a lot of things. And so we both have a lot of issues. So there's, to me, unless we acknowledge some of these systematic things that's happened and then start from that place, creating resources, being self-sufficient, like a lot of people, self-sufficiency is the way. And there's workforce programs. There's all these different things to give people skill sets. There's education. There's all these different things to help with this. But we have to first recognize that it's even a problem. And thank God Jessica brought that question up in the group, because it is truly something that we need to address. And we all have different approaches. It's not really a lot of things that I can say as resolutions, because I honestly feel like we don't even listen to each other. We just generalize, and that's how I feel.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Okay, so let me just say this first. I monitored like that post, and I pretty much tried to respond to every comment that was made. You know, I can say that I wouldn't go to the extent of saying that most people aren't emotionally intelligent enough to have this discussion, because I feel that the post that we had yesterday, that was a very healthy dialogue for the most part. I would say probably towards like maybe after 6 or 7 hours of being up, then you had people come in, and then they kind of just started. I think when we kind of got to the domestic violence part, that's when it kind of went left. But for the most part, I was reading the comments, and when I did start to see it go left, I kind of interjected, because I saw like some people, I think that this discussion can be had in a healthy way. But a lot of times when you start to get really into the nut of it, people get passionate about it. And instead of like really vote or articulating what they're saying specifically, they kind of speak in a general tone, and so that's left to interpretation, so somebody can misinterpret what they're saying, and then they'll respond to that. And so because I kind of saw where some of those comments were going, I would kind of interject. So I feel like a healthy dialogue can be had with this, but you have to have a party that's not really like gender based. They're not, they're unbiased. And I feel like I understand from the woman aspect, and I understand from the man aspect. I can't say that, I'm not giving us a pass as women. I'm not, because we didn't have to take the government assistance that pushed the Black man out the home. We chose to do that for whatever reason.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
So what did you learn after all of this dialogue and talking and kumbaya and interjecting? So what was the result? What's the conclusion? What did you learn?
Okay, so first of all, I didn't see it as a kumbaya. Secondly,
hold on.
Do you want me to answer the question?
But we not gonna do the extra. Like we not.
I'm not doing the extra. You said kumbaya. I didn't say kumbaya.
You already had a period with a T at the end of it. One step away from saying.
Okay, we're not. Don't tell me where I'm at. I'm just gonna let you know, because I can tell you where I am.
You're the one that's advocating for healthy dialogue and listening to each other and all of this other type of stuff. But you already turning up. I asked you.
I'm not turning up.
I asked you a simple question,
and you didn't let me answer.
All right, go ahead. Get your energy out, because I got all night. It's gonna be a long night. It's gonna be a long night.
I appreciate that, Anton. Okay, so to answer your question, the first thing I learned, what I wanted to.
I get it. I'll be right back.
Go ahead, Jessica.
Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to see is, could we have a healthy dialogue? That was the first thing. And I do think that the dialogue that we had was healthy. There were a lot of aspects that was brought out, different dynamics, different perspectives, and I was able to see other people's perspective from a different lens. There were even Ashley, I think this was with when you and I were I think it was with you and I when you were going back and forth with Noah, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was you. Maybe, but there was an aspect. Yeah, it was you, because I remember someone saying that you have a unique fight. And
I remember that. Yeah.
Right. And so when he said that, that kind of caught my attention. So I'm like, okay, well, what did he mean by that? And so the more that you kind of kept dialoguing with him, I was able to see that he was saying that your fight is unique, but you can be like overly aggressive at times. And so I'm like, okay, so then when he said that, I asked him, okay, so what did he mean by that? How does that come off? And when he gave his perspective on that, that helped me because I've been told that I'm super strong and it can come off as a bit masculine. So therefore, I learned aspects of myself. I learned perspectives like, what Jared and I had talked about with the feminist movement. Like I said, even with that, I felt like Black women, we jumped on the bandwagon with that. But not only did we jump on that bandwagon, but we took on that fight as if it really pertained to us. That was not our fight. That was not our fight. That was the white woman's fight. And we jumped on that like, okay, yeah, this pertains to us. And at that point, I feel like at that time, that's when the Black man was most present in the home. So for us to go and jump on the bandwagon with that, and then now we want to become, separate, and we want to have equality. I would never equate myself as equal to the Black man. I just don't. That's my upbringing. That's how I feel. Independent Black woman. We could talk about that. I've been named that. I don't really, I don't think that my character really, goes along with that. But that's just something that you have to get to know about me personally. So overall, what I learned is that there is hope. Okay. All is not lost. Is what I feel. That's what I learned.
Let me respond to something though.
Hold on real quick. I want to get Anton a chance to speak on the question. Anton, what would it take for the Black man and Black woman to see eye to eye again?
I mean, there's just a lack of accountability, like in everything that everybody is saying on this panel. The overwhelming majority of everybody that's talking here is looking out the window instead of looking in the mirror. They're too busy pointing the finger instead of accepting responsibility for what it is that they're saying and their role in this conversation. Like, I don't need to have a conversation. Like, I'm already women. I don't have to continue to validate and make women feel good about themselves. The only thing I care about is continuing to push guys to do the work to be the best version of themselves. I don't care about what y'all think. And what you don't understand is that you at the bottom of the totem pole in this conversation, in society, and life, comparing yourself to me, even in the way that you speak to me. Like, at some point, and I'm just going to be real with you because I'm not here for making people feel good or to sing kumbaya. Like, I'm self-made. I don't subject myself to anyone or anything. And I don't worry about what people think about me. So the first thing that I think that women need to do is humble themselves. They so busy trying to have a conversation to come to a conclusion. And, both people need to come to the table. I don't need to come nowhere. I am the one that's in charge. I'm winning. And so many dudes like me, the dudes that's really, really in control and really have say-so as to what goes on and they control the narrative, they ain't at the table. They're not online arguing with you. I'm not about to be online arguing with you. At this point, I'm in a space in my life where I'm just a lightning rod, and I'm at the forefront of a movement of a lot of guys that feel like they've been silenced for so long, or they've been holding their breath, or silencing themselves as far as being able to participate and determine what gets said in a conversation. I'm not about to be sitting here playing games and going back and forth with people. Like, I'll give you the game. If you want to do the work, I'll give you some insight on how you can better yourself. But that's why I always lead with, okay, so what did you learn and what was the results of it? What is it that you implementing and putting into place that's going to actually make you a more valuable person? Or are we just sitting here talking back and forth to entertain the people and making people feel good about themselves? I'm not here for that. You know what I'm saying? So when you're ready, and I guess I'm speaking to you specifically, Jessica, because you're a representation of the question that you asked, right? If you ask the question, that means you're going to have to be accountable for the results that come along with it if you want to come on the show. When it comes back down to it, the question still remains. What exactly are you doing differently to make sure that you're an example of the thing that you're looking for versus trying to have a conversation with people that don't really care about what you think or feel?
Okay, so to answer your question, Anton, I don't even know if you really heard me because you walked off and I felt that was disrespectful.
No, I can hear you, but
Okay.
I chose violence tonight.
Okay, that's fine. Secondly, I'm not. So the fact that you say things like you don't care about the conversation, you're a self-made man. Let me just be very clear. You wouldn't be nothing without the black woman. You would not be here without the black woman. So therefore, that's one thing that needs to be
Women
made.
slow you down.
No. You wouldn't be here. I mean, you can't make yourself.
Okay.
Man cannot bring forth life. That's just you can impart
You're
life.
moving the
But you
goalposts
can't
because
bring
you're
it
unwilling
through.
to have the real
You can't bring it through. So the fact your disposition is not even worth really answering any of your questions because you're not trying to hear anything that I have to say. You automatically come on the defense.
And you didn't answer the question.
Okay, I did answer the question. You wasn't listening.
No, you didn't.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I specifically said what I learned, and then I said it. I went on after that. Now, whether or not you was listening, then that's on you. But I'm not going to repeat myself for yours. No, I'm not going to repeat myself for you.
Of course,
if anybody else want me to answer that question, then that's fine.
You know why you're not going to do it? Because
no, it doesn't matter.
Your behavior is the very thing that's wrong with women. You're a representation of
because you're disrespectful. You're disrespectful, and you disregard other people's opinions.
One at a time.
You still talking because you emotional, and that's what happens with women. They get emotional. They start, getting in.
And you antagonize.
Look at you.
But you antagonize.
You guys, one at a time.
If you be quiet for 5 seconds, you might learn something.
You're not teaching nothing. You're not saying nothing.
Jessica, hold tight real quick.
You so busy talking because you think you know a lot and you don't know nothing. Because if you did, you wouldn't be asking a question in the first place. It's people like me that's actually bringing people together. I've made men more millionaires than you can ever think in your life. I mentor. I'm really into communities. I mentor 14 young guys from the ages of 14 to 25. I'm empowering them. Every dude that I know has become a better version of himself, has gotten married, is still married, never gotten divorced. They're championing women, these women that you're advocating for. So if you want to actually learn something or you just want to argue, it's a difference. Because I don't even feel like you on my level to be able to argue with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got the game, I got the information, but you so busy trying to debate me that you can't learn something. And that's the problem with a lot of women, is that they so busy trying to participate in the conversation instead of actually trying to get some insight on how they can move differently. You are the problem. You're a representation of every woman right now on this platform, in these comments, on Clubhouse, on all of these applications that's complaining and whining, but you're exactly the example of that thing that we don't want to have a we're not about to sit here and argue with you. I don't need to empower you. I don't need to fix a situation with you. Every dude that I rock with is winning. And it ain't going to be no end to the gender war as long as people like you exist on the platform that got a voice and feel like you got something to say that's relevant. It's not. It's really not. You need to humble yourself so you can become a better version of yourself.
All right, Jessica, before you talk, Jessica, before you talk, Jared, can you hear me? Yeah, I know you've been sitting there listening. I want to get your take on what's going on right now.
Because before I hit that next level, I at least want to hear what everyone's, where everyone's at mentally. I will say this one thing from looking at that particular chat, and some of the points I made, she was in agreement with. So I got to give credit where credit's due in that instance. However, if we are going to move this into a constructive conversation, I have to start the conversation with my initial point, which is at the macroeconomic level. I have to talk big picture, and then we could get down to the strategic and the tactical. So, like for instance, here, I'm at my business right now. I have a kids indoor playground here, and plenty of families come through here. And I'm trying to find ways in which we can engage the state to allow the foster kids that are being reunited with their parents come here as a venue for them to kind of reacclimate themselves together. That's real life application. But I'm not putting it out there. I'm just saying that there are things on the strategic and the tactical level that are happening. I actually do help to put relationships together, marriages, stop people from divorcing. I do all that on the spiritual side. But I'm just saying, from this instance, there are other things that people are doing. Now, are we going to start collaborating or synchronizing, syndicating, whatever you want to say, and bringing those efforts together? Because I know there are some brilliant men out there.
Yeah.
And guess what? I know there's some men who are, also making some good coin as well. but they're running into some interpersonal communication issues with their significant other. So we need to have a collective conversation between what's going on at their level, what's going on at the family level, and before I forget, to go back to Tawana's point, yes, we actually can research some of this stuff, because if you look up the 1965 Monahan Report, it's not technically called the Monahan Report, but it was written by an individual from the Department of Labor who brought that report directly up to the White House, President Lyndon B. Johnson. And they were trying to assign funds to the community to help the family structure. And this is around the time the feminist movement, the second wave, was still moving. So I'm not saying that the feminist movement was the impetus. I'm saying that it was gas on the fire.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree with that. I mean, I agree with there was multiple things, right? But I also feel like we only attack each other. We're conditioned to attack each other. We have, and regardless, I understand what Jessica was saying, but the emotional intelligence was not that everyone in the group is not emotionally intelligent. That's
right.
not what I said. And I hate when people rephrase what I say and then say it in a negative way, because that happens on the show a lot. I want to make that clear that I was not calling everyone in that group emotionally unintelligent. What I said was that oftentimes a sign that we are emotionally intelligent is when I see men bashing women, when women are bashing men, calling them names, when they stoop to those type of levels, when they start to personally attack people. That's when I know that the emotional intelligence is lacking in that conversation. And then I retreat. That's what happens. I retreat. I agree with Anton to a degree that it's kind of a waste of time, because now we're just engaging in this back and forth and there is no solutions. And I don't know if I learned anything except why men still hate women and why women still hate men. I mean, I didn't learn.
I don't think that's true, Tawana. And the reason why I don't
what I'm saying is, if you
hold on.
If you read that post, no, this is what I'm saying, Anton. If you read that post, that's what you would think, right? I don't think that, because in my real life,
I'm not even talking about the post. I'm talking about you on a personal level. Yeah. I know that you personally have evolved, and even people that watch this show. And again, it's not even based off of just, the dialogue itself. I see it in your actions. You're slowly, in my opinion, I don't feel like you're there yet. I still like you a little rough around the edges, but you're slowly, between all of the shows that we've had, with you going on, Kevin's show, with the dialogue that we continue to have, I think that you're slowly becoming a better version of yourself and a better representation of that thing that we're seeking as men to marry, to subject, make a part of our whole structure, the whole 9 yards. And so the thing then becomes, for me, what are you doing? Not you specifically, but just people in general. What are you doing? What's the work that you are doing? How are you becoming a better version of yourself?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to keep talking with people,
right?
Because I don't cast my pearls. Like, I don't, my people, they know my voice. You know what I'm saying? So most of the people that align with me, they looking to do the work. They ready to get down. They looking to subject themselves to a mentor to you know what I'm saying, understand where they need to go, that they can empower themselves, or to learn what they don't know. You are a better representation of that, and you're continuing to grow. But at the same time, men in general that's already getting it, that's already winning, they're not having conversations, and not trying to compete with women in the household, online, or any platform. So all I'm saying is, it's all about the results. We can talk, we can kick it, but when you're ready to change and you're ready to evolve, it's going to come with some form of humility, and then that's where the growth starts.
All right, you guys, I want to kind of, hold on 1 second. I want to kind of get this topic to a close, so I'm going to just kind of give final thoughts. Okay. Start with you. Go ahead, Jessica, final thoughts.
I guess my thing is, I've never, and I thought I made this clear, I never said that we were in competition with each other. And the reason why I did make that post is because I did want a solution. I'm not out here running down my resume of what I do, but I am actively involved in the community. Anybody who knows me knows that. But my thing is, I'm all about Black love. And I got tired of seeing so many Black men and Black women bashing each other that it really became disheartening And that's why I posed the question to the group. So overall, like I said, I do feel that at the end of the day, we can't see eye to eye. It will have to take a healthy discussion. And like Anton said, as far as being humble, yeah, definitely we have to be humble. But at the same time, you can't. I think where we go wrong is when we start attacking each other. I never came in the disposition of attack. I came posing a question because I really wanted an answer. And so by nature, if someone comes to me in attack mode, I don't fall back. I automatically stand up and I protect myself. And I think that's where a lot of people, they want to check other people about their approach, but they're not really aware of how they may approach or, rub someone else the wrong way and get a reaction that they really are not receptive to. So I think
I will give you this, and that I'm not for everybody. Like I'm for the people that's not sensitive, that's not thin-skinned, that's actually looking to move a specific type of way after they hear my voice. So I will give you that. However, I'm just wondering in general, because a lot of times I don't necessarily go based off of how I feel. I go based off of the results. My results speak for itself, not necessarily just in the people that I'm working with, but in my own life. I'm a reflection of the thing that I'm looking to attract. I'm a reflection of the things that I'm looking to implement in a daily life. So I'm just got a question for you in general, Jessica. Like, are you the thing? Are you the reflection of the thing that you're looking to implement across all of these platforms and Black love and in relationships? Are you married? Are you subjecting yourself to your husband? Do you have great dialogue? Are you the feminine woman that is able to get along with all of the men that play a role in your life? I'm just wondering, and I'm not saying you're not. So I'm just asking a question in general.
To answer your question, no, I'm not married. I was just engaged. As far as the men in my life, the relationships that I have with the men in my life are wonderful. I'm able to dialogue with them. I understand them. They understand me. I don't have issues with them, nor the women. As far as do I represent? I think I do represent Black love. I represent empowerment. That's what I do in ministry. That's what I do with my students. That's what I do with the couples that I've sat down with. So I wouldn't be, like I said, I wouldn't be posing this question if I wasn't trying to be a part of the solution.
But my question is though, but the question then becomes, based off of the insight that you just gave me, how do you know that you're a representation of the thing that you're looking for? How do you know? Honestly, how do you know that you can even minister to somebody in this way? Because you may have some game and some insight based off of some things that you've done awesome in your life. You may be great at finances. You may be awesome at, I don't know, sports or anything. You may be a good person as it relates to moving a specific type of way or whatever, right? But how do you know that you are not the problem and that you need more work before you start having conversations with other people and start to find solutions to a problem that you may very well be a part of?
Okay, so this is the thing. If you wait until you're completely whole to start doing the work or going out to reach the people, you will never get anywhere. Nobody, I don't know anybody that started from the ground up that was completely like, oh, I'm there. I think that throughout the process of you doing the work, you become better because you get the information, you meet people, and then you share information, you exchange it, you learn from them, they learn from you. Now, to say, do I have work? Absolutely, I do. I have a lot of work to do, and I'm never going to stop growing. I'm never going to stop doing the work. So to say I'm there, no, I'm not there. But am I better than what I was last year?
How can a person that's not all the way what they supposed to be help somebody else? Like, you can't help nobody until you help yourself.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that.
People. And that's the problem.
That means that you have to be perfect and nobody is perfect.
Hold on, wait. So now we're getting somewhere, right? Because you asked the question in the group, you asked the question on this platform. But now that we're starting to get into the nitty-gritty, and we starting to find out that the problem really is that we don't even look in the mirror, or the mirror that we may look in may be a funny mirror, and we don't even know who we really are, yet we're trying to have conversations based on improving somebody else. I don't know how you can pour into somebody else and you don't even know how much you got in your cup.
Anton, let me ask you this. I keep, like, you keep saying this as if I came saying, "Oh, I'm the moral jockey, and I'm going to solve everyone's problems." I never said that. I posed the question because I want to know the answer. I didn't pose the question because I have the answer. If I had the answer, then I would not have asked the
But you
question.
getting the answer and you rejecting it right now.
No, basically, you're trying to make me accept that I'm the problem, and what I'm saying is, no, it's both parties. We're not just gonna say
you can't look out the window. You got to look in the mirror. You can't start pointing the finger and saying there's something wrong with you too. The only thing that matters is the role that you're playing in perpetuating a specific type of behavior that you may not even know that you're perpetuating. So how can you keep saying you're the problem or I want to know the answer, but then when you're getting the insight, you're rejecting it because you don't really like the answer?
No, I'm not saying I don't like the answer. I'm not negating that I may have played a part in the demise of a relationship or something like that. I'm not saying that. But what I'm not going to do is take on the whole knit of it. That's what I'm not going to do. It takes two.
And you shouldn't.
It takes one. You to do your own soul searching and work. That's all it takes is one.
She can fix her own house.
Ashley, I want to get your final thoughts. Go ahead.
Well, so I'm going to be real. I'm going to be real and blunt and honest. I think, and I'm going to say this first, like in my life, the men that I've come across, those that I know from my family, my church, guys I've dated from school, the people in my life, women and men, respect the person that I am. You know, so I live what I preach and what I tell other women. I see Anton's coming from a place of where a lot of Black men are coming from. You guys haven't seen a whole lot of women that you think are the women they're supposed to be.
You are nuts.
What?
And so you come into the conversation.
You have not taken my course.
So I'm going to finish. You come into the conversation with like what Anton is saying, oh, you're the bottom of the totem pole and you need to shut up and listen. You don't have anything to say. We know everything. You need to figure out what it is we want, what it is that we need from you, because we do everything right, apparently. And you're part of the problem, Anton. You are. And the men don't call you out because you say a lot of things that resonate with them. It doesn't matter how much money you have.
I don't want to get infected.
It doesn't matter.
I don't want to get
infected. That doesn't matter.
What you're speaking right now.
I want to finish. I'll let you talk.
I got to cover my mouth.
I know you don't want to hear.
It don't matter.
But you're part of the problem. You are. And you talk about being married, but you can be married to a woman that's with you just for your money, as you know.
No, that's not true.
You can also be married and be.
You got to do some research because
you can be married and be unhappily married. You can be married and be unhappily married.
Life is online.
So, and then you talk about the people you help, and you make them get better, but by whose measurement? I'm winning too. I don't have a ton of money yet.
It ain't about just money.
You don't know my bank account. You don't know my legacy.
There we go.
You don't know my relationship.
I said, how are you winning? Not how.
I'm winning because of how I interact with people in my life. They respect me. They get something from me. I encourage them. I teach them. I'm a teacher, a student.
Teach who what?
I teach people. I teach tons of things. You should research me.
You know what?
I teach women about
life coaches out here that don't know
women.
Nothing.
Can I please
finish? Too many life coaches out here that don't know nothing.
All right, you guys, one at a time.
Well, here's the thing. What I'm saying is
we still got the whole show.
How you don't want to respect what is coming out of my mouth. I don't necessarily have to respect what's coming out of your mouth. What I've seen from you, Anton, is that the only real thing that you have is to say you have money. And a lot of people have money and they're losing. Like you might be winning in a career. And here's the thing. I know several wealthy men. I know
not
several
just the money. You got to dissect my whole life. I'm winning. I'm married. My daughter is awesome. Every man I know is married.
Okay, and guess what? And guess what? Are they?
I'm a pillar.
Other people are winning as well.
One at a time, y'all. One at a time. One at a time. We got to bring this topic to a close.
Part of the problem.
We still got a whole show, you guys.
You don't want me to run down my resume.
Hey, we still got a whole show. We still got a whole show. Ashley, go ahead and finish your closing, and then we're gonna move to Jared and Tawana, and I have some.
So it takes humility on both parts. So my life speaks for itself. I don't have to get on a show and talk about how much money I have. My bank account is looking real nice. My retirement is looking real nice. And I'm going to continue to grow. And people in my life get things from me every single day. I teach women about self-respect. I teach students about working hard. I teach students life skills. I do tons of things.
Interactions between
I can go on and talk. See, you're part of the problem. You need a dose of humility. And I'm going to end with this because I know what I'm saying is not being heard. But I know several men who do very well. I just talked to one of my uncles. He's well over a millionaire. He has nothing but the utmost respect for women who are respectable. He doesn't feel like he needs to shut people down. He doesn't feel like, and he's an extremely intelligent man. And he does very well. Anton, I'm sure he makes way more money than you. And I know several men. I know he's much older than you. And he's been doing this for years. And it doesn't matter. The point is there are so many men out here who are very smart, who are making money, who are fathers, who are husbands, and they don't feel like, oh, women, you have nothing to offer. If you come to the table like you just know everything, then how is that progressive? You can't sit here and think that and just think that you know everything. Because Anton, sweetie, you don't know everything. You don't. And there are lots, and I'm all for Black men bettering themselves. I want Black men to, know their worth, go after their goals and their dreams, go for, like my dad says, go for the gusto. That is very important. But if you think that all of that makes you superior to other people, you're part of the problem. You just are. You're part of the problem. We can't even have a conversation.
No, I'm part of your problem.
You think you are, but Anton, sweetie, there are lots of people getting married.
All right, you guys, we got to get Jared closing because they got to get up out of here.
There's humility on both parts that needs to happen.
All right, Jared, go ahead and close this out. And we're going to move on from this topic.
Okay.
Final thoughts. Keep it brief.
Sometimes people can misconstrue someone's confidence for arrogance. For us men to survive in this world, it takes a high level of confidence to go out and bang every day and bring home the carcass and bring home, the food. But I don't think that they understand that now when we're having a discussion that sometimes instead of just hearing us out, because we don't, like I said, we don't express ourselves too much, that this is the time for us for ears to be open to allow us to express ourselves and speak what's been held back for decades. We don't have no men's talk shows, nothing like this. So what you're hearing, you just have to let it flow. So, hey, Anton, he making his points. You kind of have to let it just come out. And then after you hear what he say, then you might be able to see, okay, I see where his frame of reference
is. Who is he to say what a woman is?
Hold on. Let him speak.
She can't even be quiet 5 minutes to let the other guy talk.
Because in this instance, I do believe that there's instances of hope. And I'm going to give an example, my own household. I look out for 4 generations of women, from my wife to my daughter. I have 3 lovely kids between ages 6 months and 4 years old, to my wife's mother, my mother-in-law, as well as her grandmother. She actually lives with us. So as far as application, we are doing things to actually help and assist. But in my own household, there are times in which I have to let them see that they need to just take a chill pill, take a step back and let a man lead. Because I'm leading with confidence, not arrogance, because you love when I use that energy on your behalf. Someone's coming against you, then guess what? I step in. You love it when I do it. But the thing is, so when I'm turning around and I'm just trying to dialogue with you or give a point of view on something, then that needs to be received as, you know what? He is telling me this in good faith because he's looking out for me. My wife hasn't touched a job since in years. She don't have to go report to nobody. Everything's paid for. Same thing with the rest of the family. I'm just saying in this instance, every once in a while, we got to get on our soapbox. You have to give us that chance to get it out. And guess what? After we get it out, maybe we'll, it'll be a little bit easier to see eye to eye because we can say they have actually heard me. And guess what? That's one of the secrets on how women even get men. Acknowledge that they hear what he's saying when he's spitting game. When someone's at a certain level and they dropping jewels and nuggets, they don't drop those to just anybody. And that's how me and my wife got married, not off money, but I was dropping jewels and insight and game and instruction. And she said, I had never been exposed to this. And that's where we came together. So I'm just saying that there's hope in that, but this is going to be, this could be a drawn out discussion, but for the sake of time, just know that your ears are gold, and just hear out your man is gold. And if I was to give a archetype of what would that particular woman look like, I still revert back to Felicia Rashad. My goodness, you talk about, I'm rooting for our people. I'm rooting for our marriages, our couples and whatnot, and I'm doing the actual work. I'm just saying, take a look at the archetypes of what we're saying we're looking for. We aren't saying that we need you to make drastic shifts. We're just saying, you know what? If you want to be a society that competes with other societies, they actually operate under a patriarchy, which means the men is just leading them, not subverting them, but just providing, protecting. Because guess what? 2020 was a big wake-up call. We went through what's called a she session. So you had 2.2 million people drop out the workforce, 80% were women. So now when it's time for people to, how can I say, find out how they're going to make their ends meet or, you know, be protected, now all of a sudden they realize that there is value in actually having a man